This is Top Accolade Global News Update. I am Soibifa Jakrich. Russian President Vladimir Putin warned the West that NATO members in Europe were playing with fire by proposing to let Ukraine use Western weapons to strike deep inside Russia, which he said could trigger a global conflict. More than 2 years into the deadliest land war in Europe since World War II, Putin has increasingly spoken of the risk of a much broader global conflict as the West grapples with what to do about the advance of Russian troops in Ukraine. NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg told The Economist that alliance members should let Ukraine strike deep into Russia with Western weapons, a view supported by some NATO members but not by the United States. Putin said Ukrainian strikes on Russia with long-range weapons would need Western satellites, intelligence, and military help, so the West would be directly involved. He said sending the French troops to Ukraine, which would be a step towards a global conflict. Speaking of NATO members in Europe, Putin said that small countries there should be aware of what they are playing with, as they had small land areas and very dense population. Thailand's Attorney General will indict former Prime Minister Thaksin Shinawatra for allegedly insulting the monarchy, an official said, in a setback to a political heavyweight whose loyalists are currently in government. The complaint lodged by the royalist military that ousted the government of his sister Yingluck Shinawatra had stemmed from an interview the influential tycoon gave to foreign media in 2015. Other charges against him include violating a computer crime law. Thaksin, 74, denies wrongdoing and has repeatedly pledged his loyalty to the crown, criticism of which is forbidden under Thailand's lèse-majesté law, which is one of the world's strictest of its kind. Thaksin would be the highest profile case among more than 270 prosecutions in recent years under the controversial law, which carries a maximum jail term of 15 years for each perceived insult of the royal family. His lawyer, Winyat Chatmontri, said a comprehensive defense had been prepared and his client would seek bail. He also questioned the authenticity of the video of the interview in which the alleged insult was made. Thaksin did not appear at Wednesday's hearing because he had been infected with COVID-19, he said. Australian consumer price inflation unexpectedly peaked up to a 5-month high in April, due in part to increase in petrol, health, and holiday costs, bolstering expectations that interest rates would not be lowered anytime soon. Data from the Australian Bureau of Statistics on Wednesday showed its monthly consumer price index (CPI) rose at an annual pace of 3.6% in April, up from 3.5% in March, and above market forecast of 3.4%. Moreover, a closely watched measure of core inflation, the trimmed mean, also accelerated to an annual 4.1% from 4.0%. The CPI, excluding volatile items and holiday travel, stayed at an annual 4.1%. However, market reaction was rather muted. The Australian dollar rose from 0.1% to $0.6657, and the 3-year bond futures fell another 2 ticks to 95.93, having already tumbled earlier in the day thanks to the overnight moves in treasuries. Swap slightly increased the chance of quarter-point hike in September to 20% from 12%, while doubling down on their bets that any rate cut would not come until August or September next year, some 15 months away. Economist consensus, however, is for the RBA to begin its easing cycle in the fourth quarter. This was not just one of those statistical flukes caused big surge in one or two components due to seasonal distortions or supply interruptions, said Robert Cannell, Regional Head of Research Asia Pacific at ING. Elon Musk's Starlink, the satellite unit of SpaceX, is back up after an outage that affected thousands of users. The company said the network issues has been fully resolved. Starlink said in a post on X, Starlink services were down for about an hour earlier, affecting 41,393 users, according to outage tracking website. SpaceX Starlink, which owns around 60% of the roughly 7,500 satellites orbiting, is dominant in the satellite internet sphere. Britain's first black woman lawmaker, Diane Abbott, said she had been barred from running as a Labour candidate in the July 4th general election after she was suspended more than a year ago for comments she made about Jews and racism. Abbott, who was first elected to Parliament for Labour in 1987, was a close ally of the party's former leader, Jeremy Corbyn, and was on the left wing of the party. Abbott was suspended last year after she sent a letter to the Observer newspaper in which she said the prejudice experienced by Jewish people was similar to, but not the same as, racism. They undoubtedly experience prejudice. This is similar to racism, and two words are often used as if they are interchangeable, she wrote in a letter. It is true that many types of white people with points of difference. Abbott apologized after the letter was published, was suspended from the party. She mentioned that she had been readmitted to the party, which is known as having the whip restored. Although the whip has been restored, I am banned from standing as a Labour candidate, she said. That is the size of top accolade global news updates. You can follow us on our social media platforms as displayed on your screen. Happy Wednesday.